What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Locky Top. We got a full pack show for you today, but we're going to start with some introductions so you can meet our crew. Andy?
Cool. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew. Living in New York City right now. Originally from Korea. Lived in Tennessee for a while. Hence my association with the Lucky Top crew here, namely Josh. My specialty, I don't know if I have a specialty. I just watch a little bit of everything. Basketball, soccer, tennis, and so on. Football, of course, but since we're not in season, I don't know much about baseball or hockey, unfortunately, but that's why we have Frank and others join. Cool.
Awesome. Frank, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm Frank. I grew up in New York, living in Texas now. And yeah, my specialty is NHL, the NHL season going on right now, and Major League Baseball when that comes up.
Josh?
Man, y'all already know where I'm from. I'm from the East End, baby. All day. It's your boy Josh, all things Vols. Shout out to my boy Andy for finally claiming us for a little bit, hanging out with us in Tennessee before he went up northeast to New York. But yeah, happy to be here. Happy to be anywhere. Naveen?
Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm Naveen. My specialty is special teams. I love punting. So just stick with me if you want to punt or fade me. That's probably a better strategy. I love college basketball, college football. I hate NBA. I don't mind anything else, but fuck NBA. So just keep putting that out there. We have a full show for us today. We're going to be, again, talking about the Super Bowl. How can we not, right? Like, biggest event. Roger Goodell saying 200 million people are going to watch, although 115 watched last year. I think he's smoking something, but whatever he's smoking, I want it. We're going to be talking about college hoops as well. The Vols got a big matchup versus Texas A&M tomorrow night, late night, another late night game. Hopefully it turns out like the last late night game we played did. Talk about some keys to victory on that. We're also going to preview some other matchups in college basketball: Baylor, Kansas, Gonzaga, Kentucky, other happenings across the country with basketball. We're going to talk about some of the more loaded conferences in NCAA. We're going to hit on the Player of the Year debate. Is it Zach Edey or is it the truth? Is it Dalton? Frank's going to put it on ice for us, and we're going to be sharing some best bets with you for the weekend. We're going to preview the Super Bowl in a little bit different way than before. Last week, we rolled out the rapid fire round. So we're going to continue that for the Super Bowl. And our first topic is, are the Chiefs too public? It's going to be me versus Andy on this one. I've been talking about the Chiefs all playoffs. I feel like me and Frank have been on them every step of the way. They've been the dog every time. I don't know how it can get more public than Chiefs. I don't think that's really an issue, right? Like, it's not like a week 7 Carolina Panthers game where I care about, like we have this reverse line movement. Like, I don't know. It's like, who's got the better QB? Who's got the better defense now? One more game of football left for 6 months, so we got to get it right. Hammer Chiefs. I don't care if it's public. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty weird looking at the line movement. We keep seeing videos from sports books saying, hey, 70% of tickets are on the Chiefs, and we really want the Niners to win type of content. But what's weird is it seems like that's kind of the narrative they want to push. Like every sports book, every website, Twitter, all showing you that. I feel like what's missing is how much money is on the Niners. On the futures bet, we haven't seen any data there, and there's possibly a lot of money there too, which is probably what's happening with the lines. I kind of agree with you, Naveen. Like, the reverse line movement type of thing probably matters more in the regular season, but in the playoffs, odds makers can set up lines however they want to. But better quarterback, better defense, those types of things are probably important. On top of it, coaching too. So. No such thing as too public. If you ask me, is it too public, and should we avoid it?
Cool. Our next one is, Niners are almost getting there as often as Chiefs. If the Niners lose, will this be one of the worst fails with one of the best rosters ever? Again, I'm gonna chime in, but it will be me versus Frank this time, so I'll let him kind of start off.
Yeah, so the 49ers are stacked, right? So their offense is, if their offense is rolling, with McCaffrey, Debo, all Brock Purdy has to do is get the ball out of his hands as fast as possible if the 49ers want a shot to win. So I think that if they lose, it's just going to be a lot of 3rd and longs. And that would be really the failure, is just not getting the ball out of the guy's hands on 1st down, getting 4 yards with McCaffrey, getting 5 yards with Debo. So worst fail of all time, it'll be up there, but I still like the Chiefs anyway. I think the Chiefs are a better team. So I think the Chiefs defense gets it done, and Chiefs offense gets it done too.
Yeah, my thoughts are it's going to be a close game, and it's going to be about minimizing mistakes. I think with this season we've seen like Mahomes really being a lot more conservative than usual. And Purdy is having to sling it in the second half, fourth quarter Purdy, that kind of situation. I don't think he's a game manager, but he does have an incredible roster. There is almost a Pro Bowler at every position on Niners. So if you think about that, he's got 5 like all-star, all-pro level players on his team on offense. So it just has to get it to one of them, and it will really be about how can the Niners O-line deal with the pass rush from Chiefs. Either way, I think that if they lose again, it will be again a story about Kyle Shanahan. He's a choke artist. So I think they punt a lot when they're down in fourth quarter. I don't have the exact stat for me, but I think they're like 20% to win the game when they're down by 5 points in the fourth quarter, whereas Mahomes is 80% when he's down by 7. So I think if you juxtapose those two stats, really fucking crazy disparity. Obviously Shanahan is the one that punted 28-3. That will be an all-time punt, and he also punted again versus Chiefs. So just want to keep that fresh in everybody's mind.
He's facing a different coach this week too.
Yep.
He's Andy Reid's not going to give it up.
Mm-hmm.
He's not giving up the lead in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you're facing it against Mahomes again.
Not happening.
So a little bit more lighthearted note. Best Super Bowl food. What are the keys to a great Super Bowl party? I'll start with Josh on this one. What are your thoughts there? Like, are you guys throwing a party? I know you're maybe not a party this time for you, but how do you like to watch the Super Bowl, and what do you like to eat?
Well, we're not hosting a Super Bowl party, but we will be attending one if my wife doesn't go into labor before then. But for me, it's got to be the buffalo chicken cheese dip, man. Put that thing in the crock pot all day, let it marinate, get all the juices in there, get you some dips, nachos, the ones I'm talking about, the ones you can dip really good. It's like the little cups, and just pull out. Yeah, the Tostitos, baby. Yeah, cut the check, Tostitos. But yeah, the chicken cheese dip, man, that's solid. You can't go wrong with that one. The beanie weenies and the barbecue sauce with the little sticks going in there, getting the little finger foods out. And who doesn't like a little charcuterie? Get a little charcuterie action in there. A little butt heavy. Yeah, charcuterie, baby. A little Bud Heavy, maybe even a little purple bag or orange bag. I'm sipping the peach with a little Coca-Cola in there tonight, man. It set me in the mood to pregame a little bit and watch the Super Bowl this weekend, man. So that's my go-tos for Super Bowl party.
Awesome. Andy?
You took the words right out of my mouth, Josh. I actually hosted a viewing party for the Bills game. I guess 3 weeks ago, and that's what I sort of served here. There's a reason why Frank's hot sauce has that recipe printed on the bottle, right? It's easy, everybody likes it, and it's a banger. So I would agree with you there. Another thing, I guess it's just got to be like finger food. Like, it's hard to just have like a full meal and keep watching and going for like a second plate. Like, this isn't like Thanksgiving. And because you're also doing a lot of talking, yelling, maybe drinking. So finger foods, maybe something like pigs in a blanket, would be ideal. Something that's less messy.
Andy said this ain't a soup line. All right. Hey, we don't want to take anything from you, Frank. Go ahead, man. Talk to us. Let's go. Chicken wings.
I'll probably make like close to 100 chicken wings. Both trays in there. Barbecue sauce on one, hot sauce on the other, and just put them on a big old tray.
Biggest question for you, Frank. Are you a wing guy or a flat guy?
I've always been with the flats. I don't know why. I think it's just I can season them better when I cook them. Maybe something like that,
Yeah, over the legs and the thighs and all that, man. I'm straight flats too, man. All day.
I was gonna say Roman actually got me a hot sauce thing. He got me like this big ass tray of like 15 hot sauces. So
Who's Roman?
I'm just making chicken and
all not Frank's hot sauce.
Yeah, it's great.
Who's Roman?
Give me Frank's hot sauce.
Yeah, for me, I'll talk a little bit about the party itself. Like, I think you need to offer something for everyone. Like, I've been to Super Bowl parties where they don't play the game sound. They play music over it.
Lame.
That's bad. You need to separate the degens from the civilians, right? So maybe, if you got 2 TVs, put the Nickelodeon on the second one. If you got 2 TVs and a sound system, light music in the back, game noise louder than the light music. If you're blessed to have a larger apartment or something, like create some stations, like, have drinks somewhere, have food somewhere else. But you got to separate. The main thing is to separate the degens from the civilians, because you don't want anybody to be like, okay, Travis Kelce, he just scored a touchdown for the Niners. If I hear that, it's going to be a big problem. Food wise, I agree with Frank. You need some wings, you need some chicken. Andy's right. It's got to be light. Like, you're not there. I think not thinking about it like Thanksgiving is a great point. Like, Thanksgiving, you're there to literally, it's like food Olympics for fat people.
You're gorging,
This is about entertaining yourself, keeping it light. And I'm not opposed to, when 10 o'clock rolls around, just, slam a pizza or something and close the night out. Light food during the game, pizza.
Little
OT pizza. Maybe there's some NBA second half that's needing to be fired after you punt. So,
one thing I will mention about the party is, a couple of parties I've been to had some, like the organized, like a prop, but not like with the sports book or anything, but just with the guests. So like
a flyer,
like a host will hand out like a little piece of paper and be like, hey, let's do a little fun game, like $5 each or something, and then they'll be like, oh, how many times would Mrs. Kelce be shown on TV today, over under, those types of things where even like the non-sports followers can kind of like, understand what's going on. Like, oh, they showed, this Kelce's mom because, it's Kelce Bowl, that's something that, anyone can follow versus like a types of like a reception or yards type of thing where it requires knowledge. Right. So I think that could be another fun element, is just getting everybody engaged in something.
Man, check it out. No casuals allowed at my fucking Super Bowl party. Okay. You're casual and you don't know what a first down is. You don't know how many points you get for a 2-point conversion. Just stay out of my Super Bowl party, dog.
Hey, that's how you. I mean, you gotta invite the casuals for a Super Bowl party. That's how you grow the game, right? Get the interest.
I kind of agree with both of you, but one thing I'll say is there's people who watch the ads and there's people who watch the games, and they're
There's people who
talking
watch
during
the halftime
separate periods of
performances.
time.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm fading the people for the ads. Like,
Yeah.
don't even come.
Make sure you ask the questions during the ads, and I will happily answer them. If it's during critical moments of the game, I might just not talk to you.
Yeah, no. And then you got a football guy, right? You got a hardcore football guy that always shows up too, and then talks about how he was good in high school. That's my favorite guy.
Got his jersey on,
You know, I got a sack
jersey
on
on.
Julio Jones' cousin. You know, like that.
Yeah,
that
I played his brother in high school.
All right. So also a little lighthearted one. Best halftime performance you remember. Maybe best performance. I got two that stick out immediately. One is the OG. The nip slip.
Nip slip.
I think that changed my life. You know,
Yeah.
like I've never seen that shit on TV.
Yes, sir.
Never seen it again. I think I was like 11, 12 years old. We were all just like, how did that happen? How does Justin Timberlake get to do everything cool? Like
He's gonna have her naked by the end of that song.
Exactly, dude. That was wild. And number two, like performance-wise, it's Prince for me. Purple Rain in the Rain. Big time vibes. Some other good ones like obviously Janet Jackson, JT. I thought Rihanna was okay.
No, bro. No.
Not really my thing. A lot of people really love the Dr. Dre, Snoop one. I will say my favorite part of that when 50 Cent came in upside down. That was fire as fuck. But other than that, pretty forgettable. So yeah, again, Purple Rain in the Rain and Janet Jackson Nip Slip changed my life. Andy?
So the Janet Jackson one was, I guess, the first one I've ever watched. Because that was in 2004, Coming to America.
Yes, sir.
I have never watched the Super Bowl before. So Coming to America,
Bowl,
then watching, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. So shout out to that. But that being said, I thought personally, just kind of like performance-wise, I really like the one where I think it was the 2018 Super Bowl in Minnesota with Justin Timberlake. It just kind of thought the choreography and the list of songs, and I feel like that's like when someone has really been at the top of their game for so long, because like he has so many hits, and like there are people in the crowd that knows like these songs. Those are the 20 somethings, 30 somethings when like the NSYNC came out, and now they're like 40s and 50s. And then there are people who are a little bit less familiar with that, but still like following the music that JT continues to put out. The tribute to Prince with the purple, I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe not as cool as the OG, but still, I thought it was like a pretty well done in terms of just rating the performances. And I am excited to see what the Usher performance is going to be like this year.
Josh?
Bro, 93, dog. Michael Jackson, baby. MJ all day, man. You can't go wrong with the king of pop, man. Hey, obviously, he set the stage for his little sister to come on and show the nip slip a few years on down the road. But hey, you can't go wrong with the GOAT, the king of pop. MJ for life, baby.
Yeah, that was wild, man. I mean, I honestly, I can't say that I remember that. I think I was 1.5 years old at that point.
I was like 6 years old, man. But I do remember it. I mean, he was moonwalking on them, everything, dude. It was amazing. A lot of fireworks, a lot of choreography. Go MJ, RIP, baby.
Yeah, Frank.
Nip slip, man. That's all I gotta
say. Low hanging fruit right there.
Yeah,
it's a clear winner.
All right, that seals it. We're gonna go into some like quick rapid fire props too. We talked a little bit about this last time, but and I have Frank and Josh talk about how many interceptions by Purdy.
Yeah, so Brock Purdy, man, I really think he's going to come in and he's actually going to play a decent game. He's had 2 weeks to prepare. I was looking for the meltdown I was calling it during the playoffs. I think he kind of shook all that out of his system in the NFC Championship game and the game before that. I guess the divisional round. So I don't think you're going to see epic meltdown. Like I said in last week's show, I don't think there's going to be a lot of offensive fireworks. So game manager, kind of boring stuff from Brock Purdy. I give him one pick. He's going to throw one up, but that's really what I see. No colossal meltdown from BP in the Super Bowl.
Frank?
Yeah. So what'll happen, right, is if it's 1st and 10 and he throws an incomplete pass, you're going to see 3 picks in the game from Purdy. All right. So I'm seeing 3 picks out of Purdy in the Super Bowl. I think 1 in the first half and 2 in the second half. Because
would
the
that
Chiefs
set the record?
I think he's getting 3. That's what I think. I think 2 in the second half to lose the game and just get it done for the Chiefs, primarily because the Chiefs secondary is very, very good. So if they get in 2nd and 3rd and long situations where Purdy's got to drop back and throw the ball, 49ers are in a lot of trouble. They get in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, they're in trouble.
The record is 5.
5? He's not going to get 5. I'll give him credit.
2003.
Jake Delhomme.
Rich Gannon has drawn
Rich Gannon for Oakland against Tampa Bay. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
The Bucks. Holy shit.
I think he's going to throw a pick 6 also. I'll tell you that. Second half, pick 6. Chiefs go up by 14, and that's the ice on the game. 10 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
Will he Will he get sack fumbled for 6?
No, not for you, Naveen. He's not going to do it for you, bro.
I think pick 6, no sack, fumble 6.
Okay.
Probably in the 4th quarter, he's going to get the pick 6. I just picture the Chiefs in the end zone taking pictures of themselves, posing like the Chiefs guys will do. And they're going to cut the Taylor right at the end of the game. Maybe 8 or 9, 10 minutes left. Then they'll get her little cameo in there, with Kelce's brother up there. They're all going to be celebrating. Pick 6 picture in the end zone. Chiefs seal it by 14. It just seems like the right script to me. I don't know.
No, man. Not feeling it.
All right. How many TD passes for Mahomes? So Andy and I will talk about this. I'm going to say only 2. I think if Chiefs win, there will be more Pacheco. We might see 1 Patrick Mahomes rushing scramble touchdown, and we're going to probably see 2 Pacheco rushing touchdowns. That's how I think it's going to go. I think, if there's a passing touchdown, it might be 1 to Rashid Rice and 1 to Kelce. But if you count what I just said, that's 5 touchdowns. I don't necessarily think we're going to be in that kind of scenario. I think it's more like closer to 45-point game. I think the over-under is still 47-ish. You could double check me on that, but I'm just not seeing heaps of touchdowns. But yeah, Andy, what are your thoughts? How many touchdowns for Mahomes?
Probably the same. I think we see 1 passing touchdowns, and I could see that Andy Reid sort of try to go with the burning the clock type of approach and pound the ground. It worked against the Ravens, and as Frank mentioned earlier on the pod, 49ers have a lot of talented players, playmakers that once they get the ball, they can make something happen, like Debo, McCaffrey, Kittle. So the best way to really win is just drag the, waste the clock and just go score, punch it in. I do think we're going to see some rushing touchdown from Pacheco. Yeah, so probably one passing touchdown from Patrick Mahomes, which would put him in the 5th place all time for passing touchdowns in the playoffs, tying Peyton Manning. So that's pretty incredible, given that
GOAT
Mahomes has got a lot of years left. And above him is Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Montana, Brady. We'll see if he, catches up to Brady, and there's quite a gap there. But the rest, we can easily see Mahomes surpassing. He's sitting at 39 right now, Peyton at 40, Favre at 44, Rodgers at 45, tied with Montana. So he really needs 6 more passing touchdowns in his career to get to that second place, which is very realistic given his playoff resume.
Cool. I think the next one is related to what kind of plays are we going to see? One-handed catch on the side, one-handed catch or a sideline kind of toe tap falling catch. Which is more likely to happen in the Super Bowl? Josh, I'll start with you, then to go to Andy.
Probably one-handed catch. Everybody wants to be Odell Beckham the third out there, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. I really think it, like Andy said, to his point, it's probably going to be a big ground game. I mean, I really just see that being the case. But there'll probably be some bullshit one-handed, like over the middle catch by Kelce, so they can show Taylor Swift, cheering and all that stuff up in her suite. But I think a one-handed catch. That's my prediction.
Andy?
Sideline. Just to make the discussion more interesting, I'll take the sideline. Also because I can see sort of the similar to the last game Purdy's played in, and same goes for Mahomes. They somehow are able to escape the pressure when it's hot, and then they scramble and finding the open guy near the sideline. I feel like we've seen that from both quarterbacks throughout the playoffs. So just gonna go with that.
All right, who's gonna have more receptions, Kittle or Kelce? Frank, I'll start with you.
It's going to be Kelce. Primarily because the 49ers have too many weapons to throw the ball to. Purdy's got a lot of options to throw the ball to. Tight end, receiver, running back out of the backfield. I think when it comes to Mahomes, he's just going to keep going to Kelce pretty much until it gets shut down, and then he's going to start going to the other guys. So you're probably going to see 7 catches or 8 catches for Kelce. And like 105, 110 yards. And I think 2 touchdowns too. 1 or 2
touchdowns.
Wow. Big game from Kelce.
Yeah. I think he's going to get, I was going to say, I think he's going to get the shovel pass. Like the shovel pass from the 5-yard line touchdown.
Sure.
Motions in and he just flicks it forward and he runs for 4 yards. I think that's one of Kelce's touchdown passes.
Okay. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I would love for it to be George Kittle, but we all know it's going to be Travis Kelce. I wish I could go against Frank here just for the sake of argument, right? But like he said, man, Kelce is Mahomes' comfort blanket. It doesn't get any more simpler than that. Anytime Mahomes is in trouble, he's looking for his big brother out there across the middle to bail him out. And the NFL already wrote the script, guys. We know we're just going to get Taylor and Travis. Mark it down. He's going to have a huge game. Because that's the way they want to pub the game. So, yeah, Kelce, he's going to get all the catches. Hopefully, I'm proven wrong.
All right, Andy, would you rather, let's say you win the coin toss. Are you getting the ball in the opening drive or you want it in the second half?
As a fan, I always have been sort of the advocate for the second half, just because it gives you some flexibility towards the end of first half, what you want to do, do you drown out the clock and then, you get the ball back again type of situation. But I think if I'm the coach, I think I want the opening drive just to kind of set the tone. I also want to see what the defense kind of gives me. And that gives me sort of time to think about it, seeing what the defense is presenting to me first. And I think these types of games, the first shot is important. Setting the tone is important. Give me the opening drive. Also, to win the coin toss, right? Like you start out by winning something already. Win the coin toss. Give me the ball.
I want the ball in the second half if I'm Niners. I want the ball first if I'm the Chiefs. I say that because Niners strategically in the second half, they do play better, Purdy seems to be a second half comeback kind of guy. Mahomes, like, we want him to be hot from the beginning. We don't want to see the lull. As Frank often says, the Chiefs never fucking score in the second half. So we need as much scoring in the first half as we possibly can if we're expecting to come out with a dub as Chiefs guys. So that's my take on opening drive or second half. I think it depends on what team you're on and what team you support. Last one of these Super Bowl related toss-ups. Last time this matchup happened, it was Chiefs versus Niners, 2019 season, 2020 Super Bowl. Chiefs won and Biden beat Trump. It seems like we're in a similar situation 4 years later. What are your guys' thoughts? I'll start with you, Frank.
Yeah, very similar. I think Chiefs are going to win this year. I don't see Trump or Biden as the next president. I think
who's it going to be, Frank? Taylor?
It's going to be one of the Republicans. It's got to be. I think I'm in Texas. So all these guys that are Republicans in Texas, I mean, they are tired of Joe Biden. They love Trump, but I also think there's not enough there for Trump to get there. So I think Republicans just need another candidate for president. He's just too hated by too many people. He's loved by a majority of the South, I would say, but he's hated by way too many liberal people to get elected.
You would be
again.
correct.
Yeah, I think so. So I think it's like an alternate universe here where Chiefs are still going to win. Doesn't matter. But I don't think either of those guys is president next. I don't think Biden or Trump's president.
Hot take. I'll go to both. I'll actually go to all of us for this one. So let's start with Josh.
Politics is probably my least favorite thing to discuss in public, just in the nature of my job. But I will say, yeah, I mean, there are some parallels here. There are some parallels to other things that happened immediately following the Super Bowl 4 years ago, and that's COVID. So hopefully we don't have another pandemic or crazy shutdown or riots that happen throughout the summer of 2024. But yeah, hey guys, all I say is strap in, because every time it's an election year, it's always going to be fucking nuts. Depending on which aisle you sit on, or side of the aisle you sit on, it doesn't really matter. One side's always going to be disappointed, and you're always going to hate the other candidate for whatever reason. Abolish the two-party system. That's all I got to say on that. And hopefully, let's go Niners. But you can't bet against Mahomes, so we'll see how it shakes out.
Andy?
I guess I'll just for the sake of the rapid fire format and to engage, give me the reverse. 2020 was a very shit year. COVID and a lot of bad things happened to a lot of people. 2024, year of the dragon. Hopefully it's gonna be a great year for a lot of people here. So that means it's got to be flipped, right? So give me 49ers and Trump. There we go. 49ers and Trump.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I think it's Chiefs again. I'd love it for it to be not these two guys, as Frank said. Two-party system sucks. No matter what you end up voting for, I feel like very few people's votes matter these days. Like, I live in New Jersey, but I think I'm a little bit more conservative, but it's a tremendously blue state. So I feel like, even me voting sometimes is like, what the hell? It doesn't really make that much of a difference. But anyway, Chiefs can get it done. If it needs to be Biden and Chiefs, that would suck. But yeah, Chiefs me, no matter how it goes. All right. I think we're going to take a little bit of a switch on the episode where we've closed out Super Bowl. We talked about it for 2 weeks. Just want to get your take on the college hoops. So the Vols take on Texas A&M late night. How can we dominate? I looked at the spread. The spread is low, guys. Tennessee -3.5 at Texas A&M. Is that a trap? What are your thoughts, Josh? How do we get it done?
It's not a trap. Go ahead and lock it in, baby. Take Vols to cover all day long on the road. Tennessee, they've won 2 in a row now after, losing 63-59 to South Carolina back on January 30th at home. But, Tennessee has also won 13 of its last 15 games. Texas A&M strikes no fear in us. They're 8-3 at home this year. So, I mean, you could say that's a decent home court advantage, but, I think Tennessee's lost 1 game at home over the last 2 or 3 years. So, you got to get your weight up with your home record there to me to be impressed. And I think we only have to shut down one guy, and that's Wade Taylor IV. That guy averages about 19 points a game for Texas A&M, and outside of that, they have nobody else. They have kind of like our carbon copy of Jonas Edey of one of their forwards, Anderson Garcia. He doesn't score, and he just rebounds. He averages about 9 rebounds a game, but that's really the only guy that I see doing anything for Texas A&M. Tennessee's probably going to have a double-digit win on the road against A&M, and Dalton Cadec's probably going to go off for at least 25. Hopefully he'll get up to his 30 points and then kind of keep sneaking up on the heels of the 7-foot freak of nature up at Purdue, Zach Edey, for Player of the Year.
Andy, thoughts? How do we dominate this game?
Yeah, I feel like Josh nailed it. A&M, they're about where I've never seen a very as straightforward rated team than A&M right now. Their offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency adjusted, as well as the strength of schedule. Those things all point to them being about anywhere between 40 to 50th best team in the nation. Nothing surprising. There's it's not like Rutgers where we see their offense sucks, but their defense is top 2 in the nation, right? So I don't think it's too crazy. The spread is kind of weird. 3.5. I expected more than that, even though it's a road game, something like a 6.5 type of game. So that is kind of crazy because it reminds me a lot of the Mississippi State. I forget what the spread was, but it was also relatively low. And typically when the visiting higher ranked team is coming to town and has only a couple of few points to cover, that means Vegas is sort of thinking and trying to get the bettors to pile on the higher ranked team, right? So that does kind of concern me in terms of the betting, but I do think that they're going to come up with the win.
Well, I'll tell you this, Andy. I'm glad you brought up the Ken Pom swag there with the team's efficiency ratings. But A&M is also 9th in the SEC with scoring points in the paint. I think they come in at 32.5 points in the paint. That's not going to get it done against any quality opponent in the SEC or anybody really, not just the SEC. But when you're going up against a juggernaut like Tennessee and you're scoring that low in the paint, you're doomed. You're beat before you even walk out on the court. So if they want to have a chance, they have to, basically play great defense, lock down our guards, and then obviously they need to score better in the paint.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. In Tennessee, just kind of struggles with the physical big man. If you think about even a couple of years, going back, playing Kentucky and having Oscar Dibway, right?
Shibway,
yeah. I don't know if I'm Shibway, and when we played Florida, what's his name, Castleton, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, Castleton.
Yeah, so those types of big physical guys, just dominating the board type of players that we've always struggled with. A&M, like you said, their best player, Wade Taylor, and I feel pretty confident in our guards' ability to sort of stop the opponent's best guard plays. I mean, ZZ is one of the nominees for the best defensive players of the year this year, right? So.
Cool. So a little adding on to this, right? We're kind of beat some big opponents recently. If we get it done versus A&M, how do we not lose focus with the upcoming schedule? So I'll leave this open to everybody, but we'll start with me and Frank. Frank, as a guy that still plays team sports, played a lot of team sports, like when you know you're on a good team, how do you not lose focus in lull in your schedule? Like, let's say you got 5 duds coming up in baseball or whatever. How do you think, what you learned can apply to what Tennessee has in front of them?
Yeah, so mainly it's just preparation before the game. I would always say that winning the game is done during the week. Let's say your game's on a Saturday. Your game's won on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, practicing, doing the right stuff over and over, and then just showing up ready for the game. So if you don't prepare, if you just show up to a game without really putting the effort in practice, you typically don't play well. In baseball, you're going to strike out, right? If you're not going to the batting cage, you're probably going to strike out against a guy throwing the ball 90 miles an hour, So same thing with basketball. You got to shoot free throws in practice. You got to shoot your threes. You got to pass. You got to, put in complete days at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's also most of what I wanted to say is what you covered, Frank. But I need Rick Rick Barnes to practice this motion, which is fucking calling timeout. He needs to practice that. He needs to practice. The rest of the team, they need to practice getting rebounds. I think they need to. I think that we've done a good job defensively. I think we're there. But just don't lose intensity. And again, like preparation is the key to that. Don't underestimate anybody as well. Like we saw in this league, like our losses in the league are not to the great teams, right? Like typically we're beating the great teams. We're losing to South Carolina. We're losing to Mississippi State. Those are times when we probably lost focus as well. And, if Dalton is close to 30 points, like he doesn't need to get 30 points every time. Like just play better basketball, make sure that's done as well. So, Josh, like, can you preview the rest of the schedule for us? Like, seems like we got an easy Feb and a kind of tough March. I think our opponents coming up after A&M or Arkansas.
Yeah,
Vandy.
I got them for you. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So, coming up after A&M, we have Arkansas, Vandy, Mizzou, A&M back at home, and it's kind of like we touched on the reaction show the other night. Yeah, I mean the ask is to go undefeated during that stretch, right? And to all of your points, preparation is key. Not losing focus. And then, for a team that is bad in March, for me, it's all about reps and sets. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's basketball, your work, whatever it is you're doing, reps and sets, man. Treat every game like it's your last game and you'll be fine. That's how you don't throw up a dud against, Arkansas on the road, right? That's how you stay focused, stay locked in, and then you prep for March because every game in March is important, especially when you get into tournament play. You lose, you go to the house. So conditioning yourself to be, going through your preparation, knowing your keys and what your role is and what's expected of you on the team and play your role. I think that's what's going to set you up for success going into March.
Andy, any thoughts on this? Like, how do we stay focused? Next 5 games seem relatively easy. The following 5 games seem really hard. So, what are your thoughts?
I actually like this schedule. It might not work out well in terms of the seeding purposes because it's just going through this brutal stretch undefeated it's a tall task. Playing sure we have A&M, Arkansas, Vandy, Missouri, but then starting again with A&M, Auburn, at Bama, at South Carolina, wrapping up with UK at home. It's a tough stretch, and I actually like that because I feel like that can sort of prepare folks for the what's ahead. Like, hey, let's not lose sight of this. we're gonna go into the tournament, and there will be some teams that are hungry, that's ready to just throw a punch. And by going through that tough stretch, I feel like the team will kind of take that punch and just kind of like wake up, like, hey, like, we can't expect to just go through any game and expect to come out with a victory. We saw what happened when during LSU game, when they thought they had the W in the bag and started just kind of passing the ball to Dalton, and they were all just watching. No one was hustling to get rebounds. No one was running, setting screens. They weren't running off ball to the other side and try to get open. They were all just kind of like watching, and that's when you don't get any offensive rebounds if DK doesn't get the shot in, and things like that. It kind of affects the team's momentum and the way they play. So I want to say, just gotta be focused, always engage. The key would be to make sure that there's ball movement, get everyone some touches, and make sure that everyone feels engaged on offense and defense. And I think if we continue to do that, the last home stretch will be hopefully come out unscratched. But even if we drop a couple of games, I think that'll be good. It's better to just kind of lose then and reflect on it and regroup, similar to how we've done by losing to South Carolina and then going to Kentucky. Like, they felt like, okay, we thought we were gonna just win easily at home, and we got our gut punched, and they showed out the next game.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about the good loss. You learn something from a good loss. I think we've had enough losing to duds to have enough good losses to kind of reflect on. This stretch, I think you have to win all of those games in February. But I also like where, the back end of the season has kind of the guys that are leading the league right now to kind of see where they're going to be at. And they have some tougher games before we get to them. So they're going to go through a little bit of a crucible before we play them at the end of the year. Yeah, we have to play, those last 4 games in a row against some really hard teams. But who knows what they look like? The injury bug will start setting in. You're talking about a lot of miles on people's legs by that time, that point of the year. So I like Tennessee's chances against those teams because I think our team is deeper. I think we have a lot more experience, and I think Rick has started playing more of our freshmen, more of our bench players that typically don't get a lot of run and a lot of minutes during these games. And I love the ability to have some more experience when we go through that run at the end of the year.
Yeah, just to add a closing thought on that, Josh kind of hit it on the nail there. Also, it's about physical conditioning, and I don't think we have to worry as much about that. Dalton is incredibly fit.
Absolutely not.
Ziegler is fit. Our big guys are fit. They're all brolic and muscular. They run up and down the court all the time. They're used to playing like tournament style physical defense. And we got to, that's our advantage. That should be our advantage in March and also hopefully in April, right? We want to be continuing our pressure and continuing our physical dominance over our opponent. And, so much so that they might give up on some of these blowout games and, continue to press on forward for the difficult games. All right, so we're going to preview a couple more games that are happening this weekend. As of right now, Frank lives in Big 12 country. Soon he will be living in SEC country. He'll be the only one of us in the SEC city. But as our resident Texan here, give me your thoughts on Baylor at Kansas. Kansas is favored by 6.5. Any ideas for who's going to cover? What's that game going to look like?
Yeah, so really like Kansas in that one. I watched a few Kansas basketball games, and just the display they put on against Houston. How can you go against Kansas? I think, looking at Kansas,
it's not very smart. It's not very smart going against Kansas with Houston.
Yeah.
Speaking from experience.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kansas is a Final Four team this year. So, I just wouldn't go against Kansas the rest of the year. They're probably going to be the favorite in every single game the rest of the year. If the spread's under 10, just take it. If it's 6, 7, 6.5, 8.5, 3.5, probably just take Kansas all day.
All right, yeah, I got some thoughts here. Like, we just saw Kansas demolish Houston and go on the road and get crushed by Kansas State. It's really about home and away in college basketball. I feel like no other sport has that tremendous difference between being home and away. Kansas is at home for this matchup, but Baylor is a great team. I don't think that Tennessee would match up well against Baylor. That's what we're going to be talking about it in the future. But what teams are you scared of? I'm scared of both. I'm scared of both these teams. I think they're both pretty good. They will make deep runs in the tournament. But as we talked about before, SEC is a bloodbath. Big 12 is a bloodbath. These teams are going to beat each other and lose to each other. So I don't think any team, to disagree with Frank, I don't think any team is going undefeated rest of the way in Big 12. I think you can put some money on that for sure if you think about those matchups. All right, so we have another matchup to talk about.
Can I just quickly say one thing about Baylor at Kansas? So right now, 88% of the public tickets are on Baylor plus 6.5, but only 44% of the money. Obviously, that'll change close to tip, but that sort of shows you the perception. Just because Kansas lost this week to K-State. But, I do have to agree. Kansas probably comes out firing here. They're probably a Final Four team. I saw a really interesting stat this week that it was in the last 10 years, last decade, so starting from 2014 to 2024, how many wins has your program had against a opponent that's ranked within the AP Top 25? Number one, Kansas, 73. Second place was Baylor with 55. Third, Duke, 53. Nova, 51. Carolina, 50. Tennessee did make the top 25 at 31. So they're 20, tied with Arizona and Florida State and Indiana for the 20th through 24. There are 5 schools that are tied at 31. But that kind of gives you an idea of how consistent Kansas has been, and obviously it's really tough. Another interesting thing is what is your road win percentage in the last 10 years? And that is a little bit skewed statistic just because it doesn't really take conference into account. Like the first statistic, because you're sort of filtering for the quality of the opponent, whereas this one, it doesn't. So Gonzaga and St. Mary's lead that way, and because they play in a rather boring conference, right? But Kansas in top 10 road win percentage in the last 10 years, 62%. So I feel like these stats kind of tell you how consistent Kansas as a program has been, and I would have to agree that Kansas is a team that I'm scared to meet. As a fan of any other team in the country. Feel like they're to be feared. The coaching, it's all there, especially after a brutal OT loss. So I expect Kansas coming out hot and smacking Baylor.
All right, next up we got Gonzaga at Kentucky. Kentucky favored by 3.5 in this one. I'm going to start with my favorite Kentucky hater, Josh Ricker. What are your thoughts on this game?
Man, Naveen, I'm glad you let me go first on this one, because let me tell you something. Kentucky, you got to go all the way back to 1966-67 season to find a Wildcats team that dropped 3 in a row at Rupp, right? It doesn't happen. But let me tell you, they're going to burn that motherfucker down tomorrow night when Gonzaga rolls in there and beats their damn ass and sends them back to the coal mines. Mark it down. They're firing Calipari. They're burning down Rupp. The pitchforks are coming out. They're going to be worried about football season this time tomorrow night. Gonzaga, lock, beating Kentucky. Mark it down. Let's go.
Strong. Andy?
Wow. Well, I did just mention that Gonzaga plays nobody in a very easy conference. So I guess I'll have to, adds a little fun to the discussion, right? I'm going to take Kentucky here. coming out.
Don't apologize to me for your weak take, Andy. Just own it.
No.
It's a weak take. You know Gonzaga is going to beat their ass. It's happening.
I would love to see it personally as a Tennessee fan, but I also don't like to go against these types of trends. 19, what was it again?
66 and 67, but Calipari's done, man. Mark it down.
Yeah, 1966.
Cal's done.
That's a long ass backboard that I don't want to fade. So give me Kentucky.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, the Kentucky Illuminati want this to happen more than us. They want Cal out of there, so they're going to set it up, baby. It's like 08 Phil Fulmer losing to Wyoming. It's happening.
Yeah, I'm a Buck player. Josh, I was going to be backing you with Gonzaga before you gave me that stat. Give me Kentucky by 10. I think Gonzaga's fake news. Kentucky's also fake
drops
news.
50.
Yeah, Dillingham. Yeah, they might storm the court.
Look, I might be blinded by my Wildcat hat. My Wildcat hate, excuse me. I might be blinded a little bit by that. But look, man, it couldn't happen to a better bunch of slack-jaw yokels up there in coal mine country, baby. I want Gonzaga to come from the PNW and leave an indelible mark that hasn't been done in, 50 years, 40 years, 50 years at Rupp. So, hey, man, I want to see it happen. It may not, but, man, I'd love to see it. Kentucky tears are the sweetest ones to drink, man. I'm telling you.
All right. We got two more. I'll start with this one. Kansas State at BYU. You might ask, why am I talking about this game? But this is a very intriguing matchup. We got teams going in the right direction here. Kansas State, huge win against Kansas. BYU, one of the best 16-6 ranked worst in their conference teams you'll ever see. Just goes back to the Big 12 bloodbath. All white team for the most part, pretty interesting. Mormons, elevation, all this shit.
Give me baby.
Kansas State is one of the big public bets here. They're plus 10.5. Yeah, BYU is gonna soak their ass.
Yeah, bro.
Minus 10.5.
I'm with you, Naveen.
It's gonna be minus 15. It's gonna be 15, 20-point win. Kansas State just really loved by the public right now because they beat Kansas. So
give me the fighting Joey Smiths, bro, all day.
Yeah, give me the salamander. Give me everything, dude. So Josh, Andy, you have any thoughts on this game? I know this is normally not our specialty, like deep Big 12 cuts, but
but I've been watching a lot of Big 12 basketball this year just because as a neutral, it's entertaining. They are a really deep team. It kind of reminds me of the late 2000s, like NBA Western Conference.
How deep?
Very, very deep. Like you could soak it all the way. You could soak it from Utah's elevation all the way to Pacific.
Pretty deep. That's very deep.
Very deep. I think BYU. I think this is one of those games where the conference standing doesn't really reflect it. BYU, very solid team. They're actually like near top 10 in the efficiency rating. Their offense is pretty solid. Their defense is like top 20, top 25 in the country. And their strength of schedule isn't too bad either. Just having to play in that gauntlet of the schedule that Big 12 offers. So give me BYU after K-State having that OT emotional win over their rival game. It kind of feels like I feel like this would be what would be the closest comparison? It would be like a Michigan State beating Michigan or like Auburn beating Alabama. There's a lot of emotional investment there, right? And with the rivalry games, this is the letdown game right here. And BYU is just going to take care of it. The spread, lock it down. 10.5, did you say? 20.5 is a lock.
Word. So, Andy, you just previewed my next topic flawlessly without even knowing. Who's deeper?
No, but I did kind of know because I knew we were going to go into this topic. So, that was a nice transition.
Andy, don't break down the fourth wall for all the listeners, all right? Come on, man. Save some suspense. It's called a tease. Thank you.
Andy's got that Grand Canyon deepness for Big 12. I think it's the best conference right now. I know. I want to talk to Josh about this.
Boo.
Josh, what makes the SEC better than the Big 12? Give it to me.
Well, there's nothing really objective that I can give you other than that,
I don't care.
SEC fucks and Big 12 doesn't. Like we have all the good players, we have the good schools, and we have babes down south, man. Like, Mormons can't even drink Pepsi out there in BYU. They don't like any vices or good stuff. We have that in the South. We enjoy sweet tea. We enjoy caffeine. There's a lot of good things in the South, man. We love basketball. We love football. And not only do we own the Big 12 in football, but, I think we own them in basketball as well. And it'll be more apparent come March. Yeah, I think they're top loaded. I think there are a lot of front runners in the Big 12. Yeah, it's been great basketball to watch. It's been fun. It's been cool. But you don't play, the defensive juggernauts that we have in the SEC. So I think give me SEC. And when we get to March in April, the chips will fall where they may, and we'll see and kind of put all this to bed.
Frank, you have any thoughts as an insider on both conferences? You're currently a Big 12 guy. You're going to be a SEC guy in a few months. Any thoughts on which one's better? I know you've been to some games in Texas, so let us know.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at like the deep runs this year, Sweet 16s, you're going to get more out of the SEC. You're going to see the Big 12 teams.
There we go.
You're going to see the Big 12 teams. I think they're going to lose like first, second round this year. You're going to see like some 7s, some 8s, some 9s, some 10s kind of sneak in from the SEC into the Sweet 16, and some upsets early on, Big 12 upsets.
Okay, yeah, I think that's also very live, guys. Like both of these conferences are very deep, as Andy loves to say. Deep. So you can see the people losing to each other all over the place, and I don't expect any of these teams in any of these conferences to really, break through and go undefeated. So a couple more topics for college basketball. We'll start with the Player of the Year debate. We're all talking about it. Is it going to be Edey? Is it going to be Dalton Connect? Josh, start us off.
I wish you could have let me kind of go last on this one, but because you already know where I'm leaning on this. We know, it'll come down to Zach Edey versus Dalton, no doubt. Sadly, though, the 7-foot freak of nature, he's going to win just by the merit of him being, as tall as he is. But the best player all around and most complete player is Dalton Connect. And there's no question about that. There's no debating that. It's just unfortunate that he's not 7'6". If Dalton Connect was 7'6", he probably would win it. But I think there's so much fatigue out there for Zach Edey, just talking about him constantly. And then, he won it, last year. Change it up. Sports writers, listen to me. If you ever get a chance to see us out there on our socials, like and subscribe us, please. But vote as well for the most deserving player, and that's Dalton Connect. No one does more for the sport this year or for his team this year than Dalton Connect. Great story. The kid deserves it. Give him what he's worked so hard for and what he deserves. And lastly, there's going to be somebody playing in the NBA out of those two, and it's not going to be Zach Edey.
Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Josh that as of today, by most media outlets, DK is projected to go mid first round, so anywhere between like the 9th to 16th. So just kind of like a tail end of the lottery range for Dalton Connect. Zach Edey is projected to go somewhere in the mid second round, so like the 35 to 45 range, not completely out of the draft, not undrafted, but I think the teams are gonna, take a flyer on just the fact that he's a 7'4" freak of a nature as a backup center. So that's clear in terms of the NBA potential. But that being said, what is the criteria for the Player of the Year? And it's not really who's the best player, but rather, the accomplishment, the resume, the stats, and hate the game, sure, but Naveen and I, we went and watched the Edey live, and we thought he was really sloppy. A lot of lacking in fundamentals that we think it's not going to translate to NBA, which is probably why he's not projected as a high draft pick. A lot of walkings, the elbows, the 3-second violations. But that being said, right now, like numbers wise, he's front runner. I don't see that changing ever, unfortunately, unless he ends his season short with some kind of an unfortunate injury. And I don't
harvest the ACL.
Yeah, and I don't ever wish an injury for a college athlete. Like, if you're a pro, it's
He's
another thing.
NIL. He's a pro now.
Sure, but still, he still can't have a future now.
Can't have a fucking
from
both
going
ways.
here.
Harvest it, baby. Let's go.
You think Purdue's going to play Tennessee in the
But
tournament?
no, I hope so, because we smack their ass. Listen, Andy, let me tell you, I like what you brought up about how horrible he plays in just his fundamentals. And to your point about, player of the year and what that individual needs to bring to the table. Naveen has seen both of these guys play live. Naveen, let's say you're a casual, right? Who gets your pulse fucking going? You saw what, Dalton did against UNC at Chapel Hill. Laid the biggest ass whooping scoring, performance on the Tar Heels, tied the biggest one of all time. And then you got a guy that can't hit a bucket outside of 6 feet away from the rim. And you want to give him the Naismith trophy? Like, get out of here, bro. Like,
yeah, man.
It shouldn't even be a debate. But think about it. Break it down as if you were a casual fan, who's doing more for the game of college basketball this year? Is it Dalton Connect or is it Zach Edey? Answer me that, Nav.
It's Dalton Connect, guys. It's not even close. I will say the one thing Zach Edey has is he's an old school kind of college basketball player in the sense we've seen him for 4 years. That's one thing Dalton does not have, and I feel like that bias of playing throughout the pandemic. Who's the one. Everybody knows one guy on Purdue, and that's Zach Edey. Dalton is a new phenomenon for these writers, but really he's a star that shines bright, and he should soak Zach Edey out of every competition here. We've seen
every last one.
Yeah, I've seen Dalton put up 30 points multiple times. Zach Edey, he does get to his averages. He's not, he's very savvy. And I think his best skill is manipulating refs.
Absolutely.
He never gets called, man.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Do you think that he could go and put on the same performance against Baycott in Carolina in the Dean Dome? Do you think Purdue would come out with a win against Carolina? I think that's a bigger storyline too.
Yeah, I cannot name a single center in the Big Ten. Honestly, outside I watched
him, right? Yeah,
outside of him, right? I don't know a single center in the Big Ten. In the Big 12, SEC, I know them. In the Big Ten, it's just a joke. He's kind of out there by himself.
Yeah, you guys are right. There's a reason why Purdue was eliminated by double-digit seeds 3 times in a row, right? Yeah. Was it 16, 15, and 13? So,
yeah, dude, that's wild, man. So sort of transitioning here, like, who are you scared to face in the tournament generally? Frank, I'll start with you, but like, who do you think the best teams are? Who do you think the most dangerous teams are to face? Maybe from the Tennessee perspective, maybe from the Texas perspective, like, who do you not want to face at all in the tournament?
There's one team that pops up. That's North Carolina. I mean, you don't want to face North Carolina, and I really don't think you want to face Kansas either. So those
from
two
a
teams,
Tennessee perspective, is that what you're going with there?
Just general college basketball perspective. I think those two teams are in the Final Four. So if you're facing them in the tournament, you're probably going to lose. Kansas, North Carolina. Who was that?
North Carolina and Kansas?
Yeah.
Oh, like hanging fruit. Teams. Hot take.
All right. Josh, same question.
Let me go ahead and give you a quote of one of my favorite rappers of all time. Bone crusher. We ain't never scared. We ain't scared of nobody. Let me tell you why. Because we have who should be the player of the year, Dalton Connect. Jonas Edey, he's going to show up. He's coming into his own. ZZ, he's going to be one of the best guards, and we're deep. Like I was talking about earlier in the show, I kind of just set this up just to knock it out of the park for us here. We're getting our bench players through this scrub run that we're about to go on, and then we're going to focus on our deep run, our deep run all the way to the Final Four. So Kansas, North Carolina, be ready because we're coming for that ass. And we're going to be a number 1 seed, and we're going to see you in March and April. Tennessee, Final Four, it's coming live. Mark it down. Bet the mortgage on it. Let's go. We ain't scared of nobody, and especially Purdue. I hope we see those guys again because we owe them something from Maui.
All right, Andy, same question.
Got me fired up. Come on, let's go.
From a fan perspective, I would love to get a revenge on Purdue, not only for earlier this year, but going back a few years with the Phantom foul. But that being said,
oh yeah,
Purdue, just the way they play annoys the shit out of me. The foul calls, and I gotta give credit where it's due. Number 55, Lance Jones. He's a hustler, and I don't ever want to face that type of player in the tournament ever. So with that, I would say Purdue. I would rather not, but I'm not like scared of Purdue. I just would rather not. But the team really that I don't want to face if Tennessee were to be a 2 seed in the tournament and in Elite 8 is Kansas. I think Kansas, out of all the possible 1 seeds, I think Kansas with the proven coaching and the talent that they have, the play style, I would not feel comfortable. But the other ones like Arizona, UConn, UNC, like
Andy,
of course Tennessee's gonna be an underdog, but I wouldn't feel like, oh, we have to do this impossible task.
Yeah, Andy, real quick. So when we played Kansas and Maui, we only lost them by single digits, man. I'm not scared of no Kansas Jayhawks. Bring them to me in the first round so we can go ahead and put this shit to bed. All right. I know that's not going to be possible because of the way our seeds are going to be. We're both probably going to be 1 seeds or, sitting at the 1 or 2 line. But we meet them in the Elite 8. Man, I want Kansas. I want Purdue. I want North Carolina. All those teams we've already played once. We know who they are, right? So we have the scout on them. We're better prepared. I think we're going to have the conditioning that Naveen alluded to earlier. It's setting up good for Tennessee. We just got to stay focused and not let the scrubs kind of be the ankle biters that have taken us out in the past in the Sweet 16, right, under Rick Barnes. We didn't have a scorer like Dalton Connect. I'm telling you, he's going to be the Moses in this situation, and he's going to bring us to the promised land, baby. I'm telling you, mark it down. He's going to lead us out of bondage, and we're going to the Final Four.
All right, hot take. I think, guys, what you mentioned so far, those are obvious choices. I'm going to give you some teams I'm not interested in facing. SEC wise, Big 12 wise, those are the 2 conferences. Our national champion will be coming from those 2 conferences. Number 1, Auburn. I don't think it's a good matchup for us. They got some big boys. Similarly, Baylor, Iowa State, very tough team to play. Very good home court advantage. And another team that is top 15, South Carolina, we've already lost to them. They play our game kind of better than us, like a little bit. They are stifling on defense. They have 0 offense, 0 scoring. We had Chase on the pod and the reaction. But yeah, man, they got grit. I don't want to face them again. I don't think that's going to be good for us. And another team we talked about before, BYU. They are going to religiously hit the free throws. They're not going to make any mistakes.
Religiously.
Yep. They're going to be soaking everybody in the tournament, guys. Like, do not want to face BYU at this point. That was a lot of Big 12, a little bit of SEC. And obviously, I'm a North Carolina fan. Hand up. North Carolina.
Chill. No, bro. No.
North Carolina.
Oh, no, man. You had the Vol gear on. You know, I give Naveen a lot of shit, and I know he's a Vol heel, but when we went to the game, I don't know if it was just to appease me or because I was hosting him, but he had his Vol gear on. He was repping the Big Orange. And, I mean, he was even risen up a pretty hot middle-aged cougar that was sitting near us, and I thought he was going to be able to take a ride back home to New Jersey with her, but
Shoot or
hey,
shoot.
man, shoot or shoot. Hey, undefeated, baby. We almost made the run. If Dalton doesn't twist the ankle, who knows? You know, it's like the butterfly effect that we'll never understand what happens at the end of that game if he doesn't get injured. But hey, man, shoot or shoot. Keep the orange on, man. You look better in it.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was a lot of basketball, a lot of Super Bowl. We got to transition once again. Frank is going to put it on ice for us. The guy is up over 100 units. You can
Frankie No Nugs, baby. Frankie No Nugs. Let's go.
Yeah, you can fast forward through this entire podcast. This is the most important 3 minutes of your life right now. Frank, what is going to happen in hockey?
Drum roll.
Yep. So starting off some surprises after the All-Star break. Colorado Avalanche have lost 3 games in a row. So going into the All-Star break, you would have thought, you know, this team's rolling. You know, they're going to win almost every single game. And they've kind of got demoralized.
Global warming, man. Avalanche is getting stopped.
3 games in a row they lost, which is pretty surprising. But, you know, looking at those games, you know, one of those games was against the New York Rangers. So, you know, I watched that game. And the funny thing is, the Rangers benched their all-star goalie. They benched Igor Shesterkin for the past 2 games. Jonathan Quick has shut it down the past 2 games. So he's their backup goalie. He's won a cup before. You know, he's won a cup with the Kings.
I was about to say with the Kings. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Quick is a household name. Yep.
He's going to be lights out for a little bit, and then Igor's getting some rest, and then he'll be ready to go. So the Rangers are a team to watch now, I think. They're starting to step up, playing great hockey, great defense. Their guys are healthy. And, you know, if you're looking at like a pick for today, at least, Edmonton Oilers are playing one of the worst teams in the NHL, the Ducks. They've beat the hell out of them 2 times. I think I sent you guys a pick, like they won by 7 goals. They won by 6 goals. Oilers 1.5 today should be probably one of the easiest games you've ever bet on in the NHL. It's just easily going to happen, and they should win by 4 or 5 goals. They're way, way better offensively. You know, they did have their 16-game win streak snapped, which is kind of unfortunate to not get the record of 17. But they're going to come back tonight and just absolutely demoralize the Ducks. I don't see it as a close game in any capacity. I think it's 6-0 maybe. So if you're looking at that one, I like the Oilers quite a bit tonight.
Awesome.
That's just an easy one. Very easy one today.
Yeah, definitely listen to Frank for hockey. Josh, you got a best bet for us as well.
Yeah, best bet. I'm going with Winthrop over Longwood -2. There's no money line out right now. I was hoping that there would be one out by the time we went on to the pod tonight. You know, so hopefully in the morning that'll be available for you. But we'll see what happens. So I'd take Winthrop -2. Go ahead and lock that in. That'll be the best bet for the weekend, and that's to include your guys' beloved Super Bowl. But yeah, -2, Winthrop, you know, Big South basketball. Gotta love it.
All right. I'm degenerate, guys. I just want to let you guys know. I know you do people on this podcast now, but I got a lot of picks for you guys. Like, I'm going to be active. The bookie's going to be sweating.
I don't know, man. That didn't go too well for me the last time I went full tilt on the bets.
Just to remind you guys, I went 4-0 last week. Nav locks, Nav Daddy locks. All right, so I'll start off. Kansas, it's a big lock. We've talked about it already. Nebraska, -9.5 versus Michigan. Michigan is a sorry team. They just lifted the natty in college football. They're not going to do it in basketball, guys. They're going to go home real quick. Virginia -1.5, guys. I think that's a low-key fire team. That's my BYU of the ACC. Go ahead. Josh, you
No, man, I was pointing at the record. You know,
okay.
We're printing money here.
Yeah, that's
All
like
right.
a 60%.
We're gonna change our name from Lucky Top Sports to ATM because that's what we do. We print money.
Yep, Federal Reserve. So Kansas State, boys, this is a hot pick, 10.5. That's a tough team. That's a tough team to play. West Virginia versus Texas. That is gonna be a fucking nightmare for Texas. I know I've shit talked West Virginia in the past, but
take me home, baby.
Yeah, take me home. Country roads. They're gonna go home with the ATS dub. I don't know. Maybe even an outright dub. The line is not out yet for my last pick, but this is my most confident pick. You're an idiot if you're not betting Minnesota, guys. It is the only team that's 19-3 against the spread. If I told you something happens 88% of the time, would you fade it? Just ask yourself that. Like, you don't. Yeah. No, dude.
Don't go against Nav Daddy. We've already established that. It's 88% of the time, and Nav Daddy's putting it down. It's like coming down from Mount Sinai on the tablets, baby. Mark it down. It's like God wrote it himself.
Biblical this episode, guys.
Let's go.
It's a nice Christian show. So,
yeah, we love the families. Yes, there we go.
All right, Andy, close us out, man. Like, what do we got?
This is and I made this pick just before we're about to go live, and I have a philosophy. Whenever I see teams that are ranked higher going and then playing teams that are unranked, and then the teams are, you would think, okay, a ranked team playing an unranked team, they're gonna beat their ass. But the line is kind of weird. It's like, oh wow, plus 2.5, really? Like I'm getting the better team and I'm getting the plus odds. Just for me, and this could be completely wrong, but just the fundamentals of my philosophy. Whenever I see lines like this, I have to go with what Vegas is showing me. Realistically, I wouldn't have been surprised if this was a Michigan State plus 3.5, but the fact that the line is at minus 2.5 gives me confidence that it's gonna be a shit show. And give me Michigan State at home against a ranked team. Big dub. 12.5 is a lock.
Wow, we covered a lot today, boys. We want to make sure that you're engaging with us, though. Comment, like, subscribe, share it to your friend, share it to your mom. If she needs locks, we got her, bro. Like, just let you know.
Stream the pod on repeat. Just keep it going, baby. We need the streams.
We're on Spotify. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere the internet is, and we've got the locks for you. Over 60%, 24-15, guys. That's pretty damn good. January was solid. We got a fucking guy that's up 100 units.
You can't beat that with a stick, like they say back where I'm from.
Yeah, it's really
even a hockey stick, baby.
Frank, can you show us
Frank's
your shirt?
Takes. He's got it.
Can you show us?
Got
your
it
shirt?
on. Show us the money shirt, baby. Hey, pick up the phone. It's all money when you get on this podcast.
There's a money line. Yeah, guys, engage with us. We'll be doing some episodes this weekend. We're hard at work for you. We're going to be reacting to Texas A&M. We might do a soccer episode with the Champions League coming up. We might cover some other stuff coming up, maybe some special episodes for boxing or NBA. I know we're not touching on every sport, and it's impossible to do so, but just want to give you guys warning that there's a lot more coming from us. Stick with us and print with us, guys. For Josh, Frank, Andy, and myself, Lucky Top out.